Welcome back, Legends, to another episode of your breakdown of DC's Legends Tomorrow, Season 7. And wow, this episode right here is just a great example of what Legends is, because was definitely a wacky episode. And I'll be honest, I usually don't like these episodes where it's kind of a filler episode where it doesn't really have much of anything to do with the main storyline. It's taking a break from that and is just doing something funny and doing some sort of like classic trope. Obviously in this episode it's like reality TV, but I thought it was utilized really well here. Not only was it a super fun and super funny episode, but also it provides for some great character development, specifically for Behrad, which is not at all something I was expecting, but it happened and I'm so glad it did. But anyways, guys, we've got quite a bit to talk about today, so of course, spoiler warning if you've not seen this episode, because we are talking spoilers, so definitely make sure to go check it out. It's a solid episode. But anyways, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this and start breaking down DC's London Tomorrow, Season 7, Episode 9. So, whereas last week's episode gave us the android legends, and we were dealing with them the whole episode, we get back and catch up with our actual real Legends of Tomorrow in this episode, and they are actually trapped in the Manor Dimension, because there's no gateway back to Earth. I mean, you open those doors and it's just pure fire, and it's just literally hell. So now there's basically like nothing they can do. They're just trapped there, so they've got no clue what to do now. Maybe they can time travel, maybe they can't. But then all of a sudden, in their time when they're trying to figure stuff out, Dr. Gwyn Davies, he accidentally leaves the door to hell open. So of course, something gets in there, and this is where things start going wrong. We get this whole reality TV thing going on here, and this was just so funny because you get so many things here, like specifically at this beginning where it's literally like everybody is hooking up here. Like you got Gary and Gideon hooking up, which obviously was already a thing in normal times, but then Ava and Sara actually walk in on them. Plus, we've also got Astra and Behrad almost getting things going there as well. Suddenly, Nate looked like John to Zari, and then Zari 2.0 looked like Zari 1.0 to Nate. So all of a sudden, they get close to hooking up, and I was like, whoa, what is going on here? Good thing that didn't happen, because that would be really awkward. But this is when Astra snaps out of it, and she realizes and actually reveals to everybody that this is the doing of the cursed crew. So they're basically trapped in a reality show from hell. So now all of these classic reality TV show tropes and like acting bougie and fake and all this stuff is happening in this episode, and they can't control it, and it's actually so much fun to watch here. So Astra actually goes off and goes into hell to try and investigate and get to the source of this, and Behrad actually follows her, and of course, she actually gets things figured out and straightened out and everything, but then all of a sudden, Behrad shows up and he gets captured, so that's when things go wrong. And they are sent back into the reality TV show and are now forced to deal with all this stuff going on here. And again, Behrad has just such a great storyline here where he's the one that saves them in the end, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But let's just talk about what's happened to our other characters. Like I said, Sara just starts acting all bougie. Spooner gets completely naked and is naked, I think, pretty much like the whole episode once this whole reality TV thing starts, because she thinks she's playing Survivor or something like that. And then Gideon completely ditches Gary and his little bottom, as Gary calls it. Also, side note, nice to see some continuity here. As you can see, Gary does indeed still have his third nipple from, I think that was like season 3 when that happened. That was, I think that's still probably my favorite moment of this series ever. That was just so funny with the unicorn biting his nipple off, and yeah, throwback to that. I love that he still has this here. But yeah, Gideon ditches him and basically gives up on her emotions. Then Nate and Zari are also fighting. Of course, this is Zari 2.0. And so Nate actually starts becoming like basically bro Nate, and he starts pumping iron, working out and stuff, getting them PRs, everything. And then Zari, she is just like plotting against Nate and being like, oh my gosh, he is like, oh, I need to defend my little sis. Like, oh my gosh, Zari 1.0. Like, it was so funny. And then, as if things weren't already bad enough, Gary is just having a hard time dealing with this thing with Gideon ditching him. So he actually threatens to eat their time travel device and turns into his alien form and actually does indeed eat it. So everybody starts chasing him. The whole place is just absolute madness until Behrad comes downstairs. The guy running this reality TV show, he tries to tempt him with his gummy bears, which of course we know they're not regular gummy bears. These are special gummy bears, and he tempts him with those, but Behrad is able to resist. He's the only one that is able to resist this whole reality TV show thing. So he comes downstairs and confronts everybody and just talks about his feelings. He reveals his love for Astra, and he speaks his honest truth. Basically, he got real. And so this is when the whole reality TV show ends and the curse is lifted, because the whole thing with reality TV is that like everything is fake. So once you get real, then it's all over. And so that's how the day is saved. Behrad saves the day, and everybody of course makes up and apologizes to each other. And now we have finally some progress with this whole Behrad Astra thing that has been set up for the longest time now. And they almost kiss. And at first I was a little disappointed that they didn't, but actually the reason that they didn't, I think, is even better, because Behrad stops it as they're just about to kiss, and then he says no. And basically they want to take things slow, and he wants to get used to his new sober self before he gets too far into that, before he gets to being the best boyfriend ever, and you know, all that stuff. And that's great, because this is, like I said, this is huge character development for him, because basically this whole time he's been a hippie that's like always eating his special gummy bears and getting high and not really being useful, but now he's kind of maturing, and I love that. I think that's a great evolution for this character. So I love that this is happening in this episode. I'm excited to see this new side of Behrad going forward. But then, of course, the episode ends with a big cliffhanger as Gideon, now she is back to her normal self with her feelings. She and Gary are back together, and of course that was the big thing we were all worried about. But she says they need to go back in time to 1914 and prevent World War I. And at first, I love how everybody thinks it's a joke, but then it's like, no, I'm serious. So I have no idea why they need to do that or how they're going to do it, if they even can do that without messing up the timeline. I'd say probably not, because that's like, you know, pretty big event that's would pretty mess up things pretty hugely. But yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how things play out. I think next week's episode is going to be a great episode, especially considering that we're also getting the return of Matt Letcher as Ebarthon, aka the Reverse Flash, which is so good, because of course we've had the Reverse Flash in the Arrowverse since his appearance on Legend of Tomorrow back in season 2 as one of the main villains, but it's been played by Tom Cavanaugh on The Flash, and you know, I like Tom Cavanaugh as the Reverse Flash, but this whole time I much prefer Matt Letcher as the Reverse Flash. So to see that he's returning, obviously I'd like to see him return as Reverse Flash on the Flash series, but to see him here is just as good, and I'm so excited to see how he plays into this. I believe it's been said he's going to be in multiple episodes. I don't know for sure, but he is definitely appearing next week's episode, and I'm so excited for that. But for now, guys, what did you think about DC's Legend of Tomorrow Season 7, Episode 9? Like I said, I thought it was a really fun and funny episode with some great character development specifically for Behrad. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep it up to date on everything goes on in the DC life.